Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I'm back with another review. And today we're taking a look at, from the Transformers Studio Series, Gamer Edition. This is War for Cybertron Optimus Prime. Um, kind of a fun figure, if you remember. Some years ago we got a deluxe version, which was actually one of the hardest Transformers I ever had to transform. I was actually never able to transform the figure from robot to vehicle. Uh, without the help of the instructions. It was very complicated. This is around the time I would say of Revenge of the Fallen, where um, Transformers the difficulty shot up exponentially, and that's why now there's this like division in the fandom between those who enjoy the more simplified figures like myself and those who came in and expect more of the complicated figures that were around at the time and that a lot of third-party companies, or I should say unlicensed companies, are delivering now. I got this figure from Amazon.com. It actually ended up shipping early. I didn't pre-order it. What I did was I waited until I found out that the ship date had updated, and then I went in on it. So I was actually supposed to get it later in this month, but it eventually uh, course corrected, and I got it much sooner. It was also available at Big Bad Toy Store. I think it's been found at retail. I'm not sure. We're starting off in vehicle mode, which is a very nice vehicle mode. And one thing I remember about these vehicles, I think it's the War for Cybertron one. I might be mistaken. It might actually be the Fall of Cybertron one, but it's supposed to look like a fist. And at the deluxe class, I really didn't see it, but now here at the Voyager, I do see it a little bit more. That's just, this is like a ramming vehicle. We do have weapon storage, which isn't the greatest. There's no built-in storage. It's just basically pegging the weapons up top, and you basically have the arm blaster and then the cannon here. The arm blaster and then the axe pegging in. Here comes the Lila passing through. But yeah, once we remove that, we can get a closer look at the vehicle mode. Now, a lot of comments have been made about the exposed hands here in the back, and frankly, all I really want to say about that is, number one, keep in mind that this is the Cybertronian mode. In fact, for many years, this was really the only Cybertronian mode we had for Optimus Prime. So a lot of times that figure stood in for a G1 Cybertronian display. Also, so with that being said, there really is no need to have the hands covered because, on Cybertron, everybody knows that, you're a transforming robot. Personally, I think it's people who either don't want to get the figure or can't get the figure for whatever reasons and are looking to justify not purchasing it. Which, that's between you. But I'm not saying anything, not judging, but that's just what I think. So what we'll do now, oh, and it does roll very nicely. What we'll do now is we'll pause and we'll come back with the transformation. Okay, I've gone ahead and adjusted the camera ever so slightly. Hopefully I've given myself enough room. And one thing I have to say is that there is a lot of heft to this figure, and a lot of it isn't actually in the torso. And it's very chunky. This kind of reminds me of a Cyber Battalion figure, just because you're moving large pieces instead of smaller panels like with a more modern Voyager. So, well, this is modern too, but has a very nice tactile feel. So for the first step of the transformation, you want to go ahead and open up the panels. Now, these side panels are actually the only problematic part of the transformation I have. And that's the fact that along with the this back section that will form the legs, it can sometimes peg in off-center, which when you look at the vehicle head-on like this, this red section can actually be crooked. Everything will peg in right, and it will still roll, but it will just look crooked. So that's something to keep an eye out for that you might have to fiddle around. Maybe it would have been a little bit better to have a locking mechanism up here for the waist section, which, by the way, you also want to go ahead and pull that panel up and let's push down the smokestacks. And then, speaking of which, come behind here and unpeg the legs from the arms, just like so. Let's lift that up just enough to give you some room here that you're going to unpeg the arms at the forearm and then swing them out on their armpit joint, just like so. Be a little cautious with that so you don't detach the forearm, which we'll get to when we get into robot mode, but I'm sure you guys already know what I'm talking about. Rotate the waist around, and now what you can do is fold the wheels inward, bring these side panels down, turn the figure over. You can also do this before you rotate the waist around, and go ahead and flip the feet down, and then bring down these panels and separate the legs. That's generally how I do it. I mean, I'm sure I think the instructions might have it in a few different steps, but there's that set and done. The next thing you want to do is come to the front here. Oh, and there you saw the arm came off. That happens, unfortunately. It is designed to be removable, and thus, because of that, it doesn't really secure into place. One thing you want to do before I forget is you want to rotate the arms back so that the Autobot logo on the shoulders is facing down towards the feet. So coming to the front here, you want to pull from the side, and those side panels will pop out. The next thing you want to do is lift up this front canopy, and the instructions aren't that clear on it, but this front section has to pop underneath the side panels there to properly tab in, and just bring that up and around. Next, what you want to do is grab this chest section, and then you're going to rotate it all the way forward, just like so. And bring the head. The head was angled back. Just bring it down like that. Next, what you want to do is rotate this back panel around, and then collapse it up. Don't fold it up all the way yet, because the final step, well, not the final step, but next you want to do is rotate those big side panels around to bring the arms forward. Now you can go ahead and flip up this section. And one thing that really hasn't been made clear is when you're going to push these panels back in, you would think that maybe they would tab into this, what was the roof of the vehicle mode, but in truth, there are tabs on the side of Optimus Prime's head that will peg into slots there on the side of the those shoulder areas. And thus, there we have Optimus Prime in its robot mode. Very nice, very chunky. Oh, and just moving the arm, yep, it happens. You have a ball joint head, and yes, the head is meant to be that small. You have a ball joint at the head, you have a universal joint at the arm, bicep swivel, little over 90 degrees at the elbow, the waist swivel, universal joint at the hips, but you really can't get too much in terms of back movement due to the design of the figure. 90-degree bend at the knee, and you have some ankle pivot. So there's that. Also, the fists can rotate. And one thing I do want to mention is I fortunately don't have the instructions handy right now, but the front of the instructions actually show you being able to two-hand the axe in a certain way. And while you can do that, unfortunately, the way they show you just isn't possible. And it has to do with this paneling here right at the edge of the fist. As you rotate the fist, the hole for the accessory to go through becomes blocked, and it's blocked just enough that the fist cannot rotate enough to get that two-handed hold. I'll show you in a way. I think I did figure out a way to do a two-handed hold. Now, the first gimmick of this figure, let's come into the chest. This can actually open up, and there we have a removable matrix. Unfortunately, there's no way for the figure to hold it, but it is there, and I do appreciate that feature. So that's nice. Second of all, as you saw, before I get into the removable arm, let me just say for the record that in terms of weapon storage, the only weapon storage you have is pegging the blaster into the axe and then having Prime hold the axe. There is no storage, hands-free storage on the figure for the axe or the blaster, and that's a little bit unfortunate. And I mean, I've checked, and I haven't seen anything. What there is storage for is if you come in here and remove the arm, you can actually peg it into the buttocks section, and then with the ion blaster, you can go ahead and peg that into that post there. And this actually holds a lot tighter than the arm. And there you have Optimus Prime's arm cannon, which this is actually how it would look in the game. Now, I got to admit, when you start bending it at the elbow, it looks a little odd. Like I would keep it a little more straight ahead, or something like this, like an angled shot off to the side. But now let me go ahead and put the arm back on, and we can talk about holding the axe. As I mentioned, there really isn't an easy way to two-hand hold the axe. But now, and the axe is actually modular. It has three pieces here. You will have to take it apart to get it to be able to hold. And also, as I is in the game, apparently I've never played it. This is the ready position, and that when Optimus Prime would swing it, it would open up to a double-sided axe. So let's get that open, and let's just get this in, just like that. And you see what I'm talking about, that there's like just not enough room for that to rotate properly. But I think if you bring the arm in like so, bring this one down, and there we go. Just using it, I just took it off just to make this a little easier. You can then bring that back in, and that's basically about as good as you're going to get. And even then, it's like pulling the arm off. I think I could have sworn I had it a little bit better. Yeah, it's really just not. I mean, you're going to end up in terms of display just having the axe in one hand and the blaster as the other arm. But it is a nice looking axe. Unfortunately, mine, this open part doesn't peg in as nicely. You get that there, and then peg this in, and there you go. There's your Optimus Prime figure. So, there is also some swivel at the hips. So, I mean, big beefy figure, a lot easier to transform than the original Deluxe. So, how about we pause and we come back with my final thoughts. As with all Studio Series figures, Optimus Prime does come with a nice decorative backdrop featuring a scene from the game, which, by the way, I should mention, the games are not available right now to be played anywhere. So, that is the thing. But yeah, I dig Optimus Prime. I really like it. I'm glad I have it. Definitely, I'm happier with just how easier it is to transform. A few minor quibbles. I think the arm comes off way too easily for the weapon switching gimmick, which I think could have been worked in a little bit better. Also, I would have liked to have seen some weapon storage on the robot mode, so if you can have a unarmed Optimus Prime. And also, definitely, there should have been a way to be able to hold the axe easily with the two hands. I mean, but there is a lot of play with the axe in terms of the modular design. In fact, I don't even remember the axe being handheld from the in-game footage I've seen. I remember it being like coming out of his hand, like in the original cartoon, but I could be remembering wrong. As I said at the beginning, I got this figure from Amazon.com. It is shipping from Hasbro Pulse. It was in stock at Big Bad Toy Store, but that's actually out of stock right now. So, and your best bet is either Amazon or Hasbro Pulse, or I think it is showing up at retail. It's a great addition to the collection and a fun Voyager Optimus Prime figure, especially if you're nostalgic for those games. Well, that's about it for the review. If you like this review, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. While I'll always appreciate the views, likes, comments, and subscriptions, help to communicate to YouTube through their algorithms that my channel should be exalted and held upon high. If you want to make the ultimate sign of support, I do have a Patreon. It is www.patreon.com/chuckdog1999. All I ask for is $1 a month, $12 a year. No thrills, no tears, no special rewards. All you're doing is helping me help you to help me help you bring figures like this to you, as well as keeping up the infrastructure of the channel. But as I always say, I know times are tough right now. There's a little there's a lot of inflation and things of that nature. So if you can't swing the $1 a month or $12 a year, don't worry about it. Your views are more than thanks enough. Patreon is just a cherry on top of an already generous sundae. So that's about it for the review. Once again, this is your old pal Chuck for War for Cybertron Optimus Prime. We will see you next time.